That's true. I made a joke that Budweiser has confirmed something I've suspected all along, that Bud Light is a beer made for men who identify as little girls. So I skateboard at a competitive level and sometimes make money doing it. And back in 2021, in the winter, I was invited out to a finals event hosted by Red Bull called Red Bull Cornerstone. And the day of the event, I was made aware that I'd be competing against a trans identified male athlete. And you can probably guess what happened. The trans identified male took first place, along with $5,000 of the prize money meant for the female athletes. And this left me in second place. I didn't know what to do, so I reached out to Red Bull privately by email, of which we corresponded previously, and they completely ignored me. And I realized, because of stories that I'd seen on the news, like Riley Gaines and the trans swimmer Leah Thomas and the Connecticut track runners, I knew that this was something that was becoming a bigger and bigger issue and impacting a lot of girls and women. So I felt like I needed to speak up, and I chose to post my story on Instagram, and it very quickly gained a lot of traction and a lot of support. And I've been speaking up ever since, because I don't want to be the last generation of girls to have experienced fairness and equal opportunity in sports like I was afforded as a child, but unfortunately had taken away from me as an adult. So Dylan Mulvaney has consistently and continuously made a mockery of women and claims to identify as a girl, has done partnerships with numerous different companies, now including Budweiser, Bud Light, and even Tampax, KitchenAid, Stella McCartney, Kate Spade, Crest. And it's disappointing to see someone making a mockery of females be applauded for it. But there is good news, and that is that we vote with our dollar every single day. And when companies make it clear that they don't share our value of respecting women, the best way to handle that is to no longer financially support them by purchasing their products and turn to alternatives. I think it's an attempt at woke virtue signaling, and they may not be paying very much attention to who their actual market should be directed towards. But when you go woke, you go broke. And if people stop supporting them, that will show them that the public at large does not support these types of decisions and these types of values.
It's a marginalized community, and she's the ideal person to lead the conversation. So those being the two critical things that would matter to a brand, like who is the most ideal person, she fits the mold. And if you're looking at a marginalized community, the trans world is the community that's getting hit. And so as a brand, and lots of brands that are trying to approach this, I would approach it the same way as an influencer marketing campaign, sending out something personalized and creating something that creates connection in the long term. I think it was a win for Bud Light, and I think it was a win for other brands. It activated the ability for other brands now to do the same thing. And yeah, they can see what's going to happen. And so it kind of set the tone for how to be, in response to these kinds of things, like what is going to happen when we create this sort of campaign. And so I think it just set the tone, but now it can become a template, if you will, for what we do moving forward for this marginalized community and others. And the real thing here is that this is about inclusion and diversity. And inclusion and diversity as a whole is not propaganda. It's an essential part of our society. And I think moving forward, it's something that brands are having to take a position on, and as a whole. So if we don't look at just the sliver here of what happened, but the entirety of inclusion and diversity, that's the important issue here. So I think that they were taking a stance on that this and what happened as part of the totality of inclusion and diversity. Brands are looking for influencers that break the mold. They're not looking for influencers that are vanilla or status quo. And so when you find an influencer that's gaining momentum, every brand is working on that. They're looking for rising star influencers, the ones that are on their way up. You don't want an influencer that's already at the top. You want an influencer that is creating some kind of ripple effect right now on the way up, just before they reach that status. And if a brand can find that influencer, that's where they're going to do their best work. And so that's what I think they're doing with Dylan.